Huh? No.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, September 16th. My name is Scott Bugby. To my right is Jim Lehan. To Jim's right is our HR Director, Scott Bragdon. To my left is Jeff Palumbo. To Jeff's left is our Town Administrator, Jack Hathaway. And filling in for Marion Harrington tonight is Sue Jacobson. I want to advise everyone this meeting will be audio and videotaped. Jack, would you read us the agenda?
I would be happy to. It's Tuesday, September 16th, Board of Selectmen meeting. First order of business, we have Scott Bragdon, our HR Director, in to talk about the clerical contract, ready for signature. At 7:10, we have Mr. McGee, the DPW Director, and his superintendents to give an update on each of their respective divisions, followed by the Town Administrator report, including action items, discussion items, including a review of the draft Fall Town Meeting warrant, Board of Selectmen goals, acceptance of minutes, and then we have an executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate, as well as to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Scott, you're up.
Thank you very much. So I want to formally say that the clerical union contract has been agreed to. Their members have voted and agreed to it, and we have signed copies by their president. So we're hoping that you all will sign the contract today and it'll be official. The money was as we have discussed before. We were able to negotiate the wording that we discussed on absenteeism. I do want to say that absenteeism isn't really an issue with this group. They're a good group of people, so I don't want people to think that is an overriding issue. But we did get the wording that I was looking for. We also changed the way that vacation worked, which is the same, I don't know if you remember, but the same that we changed it to for the personnel bylaws. So it's better for new employees. They get some time, which they haven't, but we've had people that have been here 18 months that had 2 days. So this gives them a little bit more time, but also it gives Jack some control if people leave after a short period of time, that we're not paying out everything. But the numbers for everybody are the same. You get the same amount of vacation. You earn it on a monthly basis. So I'm very pleased with that. There was addition of some training money, which I think is good for the town and good for the union members. It is limited by what Jack in the contract, but what the budget will allow them to do. It was a good spirited negotiation. I thought Betsy and Marie both did a fine job. We had good communications throughout the whole process. We were able to get a 4-year agreement, which is, I think, another plus. And so I think it's good all around. And just want to know, prior to you signing it, if you have any questions for me or anything on any of the details.
Jim? Jeff?
2 questions, Scott.
Sure.
In terms of the training.
Yes.
You said limited by budget. Do we also have control on courses taken?
Yes, the courses have to be job-related.
And that's at Jack's discretion?
Yes. Yep. Jack and I approve the courses. He has to have the money in the budget, has to be work-related.
Okay. And how much did we budget for that?
I think it's $2,000 is what's in the contract, but it's
This current year, we have anything? For this year, I don't believe we have. Do we have something in the budget? I don't think we have anything in this.
Well, this isn't effective till July next year anyway, right?
no.
Oh, this goes back to.
Oh, this is
back to
retroactive?
Yeah.
Right.
So is there money in the budget for it?
Only in the individual departments, they have some training, but I'm not envisioning for this type of training, there's money in this year's budget for this purpose.
These are not typically expensive courses. These are this is the taking Excel program to learn how to do formulas. It may be attending something if in the real estate area, so these are not $1,000 courses. These are typically inexpensive courses. Like Renee has been taking some Excel programs, really becoming our expert on the second floor in Excel. So it's short money and it'll be money well spent, and we do have fail-safes in the contract.
Okay, and the COLA was again?
The COLA's 1.5%.
That's it, thanks.
Any questions?
Scott and I, we've discussed it, fairly recently, so I know that there were a few outstanding items that
Yep.
You've brought to resolution, so
Yep.
I think I'm all set.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Union.
Is this signed? You already signed this? or-
No.
Oh,
Sign
okay.
'em up. We're
So,
done.
you can sign this.
Signed till we approve, right?
Right, exactly. The DPW is next.
That's
We'll
right.
start- We'll start this fall.
Oh, contract-wise, I thought you meant like next.
No. That's right, I wasn't clear. No, their contract's next.
Bless you.
Sorry. Oh, we even have names. All right. Jeffrey?
It's gonna be Cheryl.
Okay,
It's gonna be the Carol.
tomorrow. Here you go, sir.
Oh, thank you.
You can just hold on to those so I can put them up tomorrow?
Yes.
Outstanding, thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Scott.
much.
Thank you, Scott,
All
for
right.
doing
Yeah,
that.
Take care.
thank you. Nice
Great
work.
work. All right.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, while you're signing, I can just give a little public service announcement if you don't
Please.
mind.
No, I don't mind.
We had a significant amount of damage down at Pond Street facility at the tennis courts. Somebody did a lot of painting onto the tennis courts. About $10,000 worth of damage. So,
Graffiti?
Spray
Paint?
painting the tennis court?
spray painted, anything you can imagine. And not just in a small area. They went and covered a good amount of space. So Ann's got one estimate that's about close to $10,000 to repair the tennis courts. So,
And what are they envisioning for repair, like repainting? I don't know. Is
Yeah,
it
it's-
just paint damage? It's not other damage?
no, there's no asphalt damage. It's just paint. But
Right.
you can't just slap on household paint. You gotta, and you don't want, listening to Ann talk about it. You don't want different tones of green, et cetera, because it's tennis. I mean, you want nice, neat courts, et cetera. So
There's some cracks, too. Would she envision fixing the cracks before she painted? I figured
I think she's gonna try and do some repairs while she's there. But if anybody has any information on who might have done some damage, that would, because this is not covered by insurance. So
vandalism is not.
not on. He just left, my insurance guy. But we put in a claim to Maya, and they don't cover any of our fields or other horizontal space. Obviously, they're covering buildings and electrical structures, et cetera. So we're going to look at that to see if we can reasonably add that type of those things. It's the first type of claim we've had in this. We've had people drive out on fields before, but been able to fix that at a reasonable cost. But so
Any inkling as to the source?
I don't believe so. I mean, she filed a police report. They're doing their due diligence, but I don't think we have any. It's an ongoing investigation that I probably shouldn't let on any details. But I don't think there's any hot leads to answer your question.
That's
It's a shame.
It was a neighbor.
We don't get a lot of, we've been fortunate we don't get a lot of that.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Well, thank you, Jack.
So you're gonna request a transfer?
She's going to go to the advisory board next week. See if we can get that done rather quickly because it's
Requested out of the advisory board's
yeah.
supplemental funds?
She doesn't have the money. They don't have the money.
Hey.
And
No,
10,000.
Advisory board's got the money.
I think that's a good. I think it's a good choice for the advisory board. Unanticipated expense.
Very legitimate request.
Okay.
Ask
Thank
for
you.
that.
Bob, you want to join us up here? Thank you for staying late at night or coming late at night.
Nice looking tie.
I was gonna open up with my book.
You just threw him right off his game.
He's
How
got
are
the
you,
clear
Bob?
color
Can we get a
tie on
motion to
tonight.
approve my shirt?
So moved.
Anyways, I wanted to come up here and say I appreciate you letting me bring along the superintendents. I don't think I should steal credit for their hard work, and I was wondering if you didn't mind, we went around and told them they have about 10 minutes each, if that's okay with you guys.
Every time they want.
And go right through the divisions.
Okay.
We have water, highway, and vehicle maintenance, solid waste. So with that,
Who gets to go
I'd like
first?
to
Yeah.
introduce somebody
Yeah,
and
please.
let them come up and speak
Great.
for themselves.
Okay.
So I want to start with water, if Bill McNulty's our
All right, come on
water
up, Bill.
superintendent. Come on up, Bill.
Sorry for my overdressing here.
That's okay.
You got the appropriate attire on, Bill.
Yeah, thank you for coming too and staying late. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
I just put together sort of an overview of things, kind of categorized them, and just if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. But I've been water superintendent here for 2 years now, so you probably all realize that, and it's my first time before you. But so I'll just jump in and kind of give you an overview here. As far as water use goes, during the off-season, winter, late fall, winter, early spring, we use about 300,000 gallons a day, and during the summer, we're about twice that. So we're still in that sort of realm. And with that, we have 4 wells, 2 sites with 4 wells, and we recently turned on well 1A, which is Gold Street, and we blend that with the primary well number 1. The reason we don't use it all the time, it has some manganese issues there, but when we blend it, we're in conformance with DEP, so, and that's been working out pretty good. So, for as long as that, the demand is up, we'll continue to use that well, and then,
Does it get worse, Phil, if you don't use it though? Too, I know you have to blend it and mix it. Like if it sits, then when you don't need it anymore, it's just I assume it kind of sits.
Yeah, interesting question. It can kind of, I think the more you use it, the numbers improve. I don't know if you want to call it a plume or what have you, but we're well within the constraints of the DEP as far as manganese, so with the blending. So that's working out pretty good.
Is the 2 times spike due to irrigation?
I'd have to say, yeah. Yeah, primarily due to irrigation. Later I can, later I have a category for unaccounted for water, actually next, I can jump into that. The numbers do go up. As far as how the DEP, the state would look at it, as far as, they look for the town to be overall under 65 gallons per capita per day. We're well within that. The highest we've been is 2007, we've been 55, and currently we're 47. So as far as using irrigation, yeah, we're using more water, but we're still within the constraints and looked favorably upon by DEP. The reason we would, want to keep the irrigation to a minimum is to just rest the wells. They need it. They're getting older, and we just want to the word the state will use is optimization. You want to use this well for a little while, give it a rest, use a different well, but during the summer, we're not able to do that as much. So, one of the other constraints or the categories they look at is what we're permitted for, which is 0.53 million gallons a day on the average for a year. Last year, we were at 0.4. So again, we're within our constraints. So we're not, as much as we try to conserve water, we're still, we're exercising good behavior as far as how the state would look at us.
Now, how would that change, Phil? Like as we add more houses and more people come online with all the potential developments we have in front of us.
Yeah, and there is an increase over the years with growth considered as part of that. So
Okay.
the numbers do go up.
Oh, they do almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if this town were to see an exponential growth, you reserve the right to go back to the state and say, look, things have changed, and try to renegotiate those numbers. But it's hard,
But the issues are really separate. I mean, we're okay with the state. We're under their guidelines, and we would probably continue to be under their guidelines. But that doesn't address the issue we have with our own system.
Right, as far
They're
as,
totally separate issues,
Yeah.
as I see it. And, you know, we have an issue in terms of our own capacity and what our wells are capable of delivering. As you said, the age of the wells, new water sources that we've talked about several times.
yep.
You know, even though the state says we're okay in terms of the amount we're using, it's irrelevant if you don't have it.
Yeah. If this is the groundwater table, it's how much can we withdraw.
Right.
Our mechanical means and the lifespan of the wells is decreasing, you know.
Correct.
So, you know, the state looks at it as a basin.
Right.
So when I refer to we're okay with the state, it's how they look at the basin. Separately, the town, how do we get the water out of that basin? And that's where we want to be, you know, diligent about how we conserve, so.
Is it a fair statement that the reduction in the underground losses, I know it has been pretty significant over the past few years, a lot of progress in that area, has really bought us some time, additional few years in terms
Exactly,
of some
yeah.
type of significant investment in terms
Yeah,
of
it's
additional
definitely,
capacity?
you know, stopped the bleeding, so to speak, and has bought us some time, and has even gained us some time, right, you know, in terms of having some additional time to think about it and move forward on a solution. So, just to give you you guys are probably more familiar with these numbers than I am, but back in 2007, we're at 54. 2008, we're at 54% unaccounted for water. Unaccounted for water is how much do you pump out of the ground and how much do you meter. And if those numbers don't match, then it's unaccounted for. And it's steadily reduced since 2008. Last year, we're at 8.7. And this year, so far, we're running just about the same, maybe 9.5. So anything under 10% is looked upon as being excellent. So we're doing all we can, you know, as far as repairing leaks and finding meters that aren't working, and just accounting for it. So. As far as next category I kind of outlined here was regulatory. Currently, we have no outstanding regulatory issues. Tomorrow will be a big day because we have a sanitary survey with the state. So they do that like once every 3 or 4 years. So that's tomorrow for us. So we think we're in good shape for that.
And they
Ready
check,
for-
and that doesn't, would that ever, I know people ask about the clorine, that's not going to solve that. I mean, when they do the survey, if they find it good, can we ever get off by having to put chlorine in our water?
They'll have a tough time backing away from that. You know, the charge has been to get more towns on board, not less. And you know, the threat of bacteria hit is just it kind of trumps everything. You
Everything
know, trumps chlorine complaints, so to speak,
Yep.
smell, odor. So we'll see. You know, basically they look at more of an operational. You know, how is your chemical feed systems doing? How do you have all your paperwork in order? Are your CCRs, the consumer reports, so is everything in line with what it's supposed to be? Your testing, you know, there's just a whole myriad of things they can look at, and each year they focus on different things. So you got to be ready for most of them, all of them. So that's tomorrow, and we'll see how that shakes out. As far as a 2-month look ahead, we're doing some work in the stations right now. We're changing some of our day tanks and plumbing, just because they need upgrading. So over time, the chemicals they build up on the sides of the tanks, and just you need to keep your products clean and so forth. So we're doing some of that right now. Next week, the well that we're using down at Gold Street has never had a flow meter on it, so next week we're going to add a flow meter in line with that for that well by itself. Right now, we just combine the two wells and get that number, and but we really want to know what's coming out of each one, so we're going to do that. Starting next week, we're going to start 3 weeks of hydrant flushing. That's to pull iron and manganese off the sidewalls of the pipes and sort of manage the dirty water on our terms. We make it come out rather than have it come out randomly and then have it be complaints that make you stop your day and go address it. So as, you know, we're trying to, we're on a program now to do that twice a year, and that's normal maintenance for us now. We'll get that'll be noticed throughout the town with the sandwich board signs around town and so forth. So after that, since that process sort of racks the system, if you will, because when the water flows through the pipes, it flows generally day to day at a slow velocity. And when you race the water through the system to take the iron and manganese out, you go and say from 1 foot per second velocity to say 5 or 10. So you increase that velocity significantly. If there is a weak point in the system or it's subject to a crack, it's gonna show up after that. So generally we try to schedule our leak detection immediately after the hydrant flushing. So that's what's scheduled after the hydrant flushing. So and then after that, any subsequent leaks that are found, we go right at fixing those to keep the unaccounted for water down. So, the circle of life here. So, yeah, am I moving too fast?
No, it's perfect.
Very good.
Just as a recap, some of the other mundane sort of day-to-day things we do is we do the water in any new houses going in. We inspect the water services, the lines going in, bed it in sand, tape on it, and make sure it's done to our standard specifications. Any subdivisions going in, we inspect the mains. Both of those things going on today, tomorrow, so forth. And then we in the water department, we actually put the water meters in. So that gives us a final check on the whole system. Make sure everything's paid up. That gives us a chance to see what's going inside for the plumbing. So we do the new meter installs and replacements. Any day-to-day water mark-out requests, whether from the gas company or a utility pole going in, or a septic system, anything, do those day-to-day. Final meter reads on houses sold. We'll go out, take those, report them to the town hall here, and they do the final bills. Grounds and pump station maintenance, day-to-day in the stations, keep them clean, mow the lawns, trim the trees back from the wires, which we've been doing all week this week. Check the generators. Paul used to do the generators, and we've taken that over from Paul, and one less thing he's got to worry about. We have an outside generator company service those twice a year as well, so that's extremely important, and we get a lot of outages here, especially the last couple of winters. And whenever we find a lighter day, we'll go out and do the hydrant and gate valve maintenance. You may have seen us doing some hydrant painting. It's not just painting. We pull them apart, grease them up, change any O-rings and fittings that need to be replaced. But we have 600 or so hydrants, so it's but we've been it's got to be something you keep diligent on, and it's just keep working at it. Next category I had is just really for mentioning, because each one of these has a 5-hour discussion to it, is new water source options. Back to the overall town issue of needing some redundancy, I would call it, or optimization. Step one is to maximize what we can do with what we have, and that's what we're doing. Some of the new source options would be, I guess, primarily tried to negotiate existing wells that are already out there, only because permitting those, or the wells are already in there, and one of them being the Rentham State School well. The idea being that it's in our town, the lot of land, and the idea being to speak with people from the state school there, the development center, and have us take over the well, so to speak, and and bring the water to the town line, have them pick it up through a interconnector, and then give them what they need, and us take on the operations of the well itself.
Is there, I don't want to say excess capacity, is it a high producing well? I mean, what's the,
Sort of for round numbers, I think it's permitted for 300 gallons a day, and from my
That's it,
understanding,
300 gallons a day, that's it?
yeah, I mean 300,000 gallons a day.
Jack's confident that is like,
That's what usually our house. And they're probably using a third of that, I would guess. I don't have those on firm numbers, but that's the general idea. And the remainder would come to us for. That's one potential.
Did I see something that said they really weren't inclined to talk with us about that?
I don't know.
Jack, you said something, that was from
Yeah.
the state level, wasn't it though?
Yeah, we had Senator Ross reach out through his office, and we weren't met with open arms on that. So Bob and I are going to try and, instead of going from the top, we're going to go in from the side door and see if we can, just kind of have a realistic conversation about what we're trying to do. I think it's, Senator's office, they tried, it was well-intentioned, they did it because we asked them to do it. But I think they scared them away a little bit. So we just want to, get the message to them that we're not trying to steal their well from them. We're trying to work with them and, hopefully have it be a win-win situation.
Along with what Jack's kind of alluding to, there has been a report. It's related to SWIMI, which is Sustainable Water Management Initiative. It's rather than each town look at its own needs and recharge, to try to look at it as a regional thing. And again, the word optimization. This would be something that would be considered optimizing. That they have excess permitted. It's just another iron in the fire for us to go after.
Yeah, it's almost like the response was more to deal with the fact that they see, a long-term future in the Rentham State Hospital, so they didn't necessarily address the interest, I think, that we have as a town in my reading, and I think that's your point, Jack, to try to make sure they understand what we're trying to accomplish, because it certainly didn't come across that way from the document that I think we had all seen electronically here a couple of weeks ago.
That's just one, and none of them are easy. The one that's been in the town for quite a while is, 10 years or so, is the Mill River site, which is a high producer. But there's a lot of eco impacts to ponds and things. But back when that well was originally tested and initiated for permitting, it was tested at a very high volume. So if a potential solution may be to retest that and at a much lower withdrawal rate and see what the impacts are there. It's on the Franklin line. I'm sure they're going to have something to say about it, and all the other interested parties, stakeholders. Another site is the Lawrence Street site. It's related to the development on Lawrence Street that at the rear of that property, the developer has kind of worked with us, and we've sunk a well there and tested it. The testing is favorable but inconclusive, and that's one to pursue further, potentially. Holbrook Street, it's adjacent to the Norfolk Trail Club. It's in a high yield or medium yield aquifer, so it's gonna produce some water, I'm confident, but permitting is gonna be a major challenge. And then another one is Stop River Road. There's a piece of land there to investigate. It's not in a good yield area, but you never know unless you give it a try. So that's those are kind of the 5 potential solutions we're looking at for new source.
so all but the Rentham would have to go through all the DEP and all that permitting process, and
Yes.
that's a couple of years, or, right?
Yeah, a couple anyway, 2 to 5,
So on Lawrence Street, that area, you said the testing was favorable but inconclusive, so we did maybe a low-budget type of cursory
Well,
evaluation?
we did it ourselves with,
Yeah, okay, okay.
with the developer's permission to access the land. We did to be more specific, we did a 4-inch test. A lot of the consultants, back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, that's what they did, a 4-inch test. Over the course of time, they found that, the 4-inch test doesn't project to, the sort of a laboratory scale test, if you will, and project it to a big.
Yeah.
Some of the variables that they project don't always work out. So now what they like to do is a 8-inch test. It gives them better, better straight line ratios on yield. But it tested very good for quality. No iron, no manganese. Very high quality water. It's just a matter of how much you can pull out of there. The test is a continuous 5-day test, and you monitor the groundwater table as you're testing, and it has to be just within certain parameters, and it's right on a borderline of what the DEP would look at as you're pulling water out. You have to look at is it recharging quick
Yeah.
enough, and that's kind of the question: is it coming in? Is it a bowl, or is it a vast aquifer that's recharging freely? And it's borderline.
How deep do you generally go for something like
Well,
that?
that's 30 feet. Just as, for example, our other 2 wells are 50.
Yeah.
Those are what they call overburden wells, as opposed to bedrock wells. But that's where we got refusal. So at 30 feet. Just an overview of, since I've been here in the last 2 years, some of the bigger projects we've tackled. As a reminder, I was surprised myself when I dug some of these up. Is we clean the tanks. The iron and manganese builds up, settles to the bottom of the tanks, and you basically have to go in there with a wet vac, a gigantic wet vac, and pull that stuff out of there. You want to do that every 3 or 4 years, and so we've done that. We're due to do that probably next year or the year after. We've the screens at the wells. They again iron and manganese again. You keep talking about it. It clogs up the screens in the wells, and it slows your withdrawal rates over time because it clogs it up. It's a straw it has less area for the water to come into. So you have to clean those wells and treat them. You purge them. And then, so we've done that, and those need to be done. You try not to do them too much, because the more you do it, it doesn't come back to life. Each time you do it, it comes back less and less and less. So you don't want to jump right in there and do it. You only want to do it when you have to. So we may be due for that on 1 or 2 of the wells next year, possibly even this year. Who knows? But you just have to monitor the the well levels as you're pumping, and that'll tell you when you got to do it. We've upgraded our SCADA. SCADA being supervisory control and data acquisition. That's, you pull up the computer, you can see your whole system, the tanks, the pump stations, everything. The chemical addition, we say everything. I can be home and pull out my phone and I can check the tank heights. We had a break last night. First thing I do is I check, see if the tanks are emptying. Is it a small? If it was a big break, I could see the tanks going down, and I know, better get on the horse and get right in here or shut things down. Or if it's a break and it's small, then the tanks won't empty. That's just an example of the use of having a comprehensive SCADA system. So the old system was okay for its time, but the data points were all used up, so we expanded that system to do everything we needed to do. If any of you has been down to the stations of the tanks, you see that we paved Gold Street. It's 1,600 feet. It would kill the plows that Paul has to change the blades on, and it's just for deliveries for chemical, it cleans the whole place up and makes it. We've done Sharon Ave as well, same thing. And on the wish list is to do Weaver Tank, but there's some other issues there as far as access and easements. We've, when I first got here, Bob handed me the Franklin interconnector job that he started, and I finished it off.
Lucky you.
So that's in place. You know, it's for emergency purposes, as part of the overall master plan of the water to have Rentham interconnector, Franklin. We sort of have an obsolete one with Walpole, but it needs upgrades, and I'm not sure Walpole's interested in sharing their water anyway. But, you know, that's a new source, and as far as interconnectors, that's a comprehensive plan to handle emergencies. So it's there, it's in place.
Do we have one with Millis?
We don't, no.
Didn't we inquire on that?
Yeah, Mills wanted to, we did that back 6, 7, 8 years ago. Mills wanted, they wanted to charge us a flat fee that was actually higher than our operating cost for the entire water department, just to have that connection, and then they would start, you know, as we drew water, charge us by the gallon. I mean, it was just an exorbitant amount of money. We haven't been back to revisit that in a long time.
I understand they have an abundance of water, probably looking to sell it. And probably the closest place to connect there would be down by the hockey rink, I believe. But no, this is currently, it's not too far from us to be able to do that, but it's not in place. And then the last sort of major improvement to the water, or requirement of the water system, was put in the booster station up at, it's called Fox Run. It used to be Toils End. So that's up and running well. It's doing what it needs to do. So,
Is that operational now?
Yeah.
Just recently in the last week or two?
no, it's been a couple months now. Yeah.
Because I'd heard from a resident that they still have auxiliary pumps in some of the homes in order to keep the water pressure up.
If they do, they don't need them, you know.
They have solar pumps. I didn't know that they had water booster pumps.
There's a difference.
What? Okay. What do they have?
They have a grinder pump that takes the effluent and the storage, and it comes out of the house, out like in a 2-inch pipe, and it continuously pumps up the hill until it gets to a point where gravity will let it flow down to the treatment center. Down to the treatment plant that's located on the Rentham side.
Okay, that's different.
Total different, from water.
I said, okay, I think the resident was confused.
I have one other thing to add, maybe to that is, before the booster station was, well, punch listed out and up and running, a couple of the residents, I think, elected, or the contractor put in some house booster pump station, little mini booster pump stations in the basements of a couple of the houses, so maybe that's, but those are no longer needed, if
So
they
if they're
have,
still using them, they don't need them.
they don't need them, just,
I know the resident that called me said it was a booster pump.
yeah.
Now, whether they knew that correctly or not, I don't know. Because I thought the pumping station was up and running.
Yeah,
We had
it's been for a
long-
while.
We had
and
long discussions about that station.
It basically,
That's pumping
I
station.
mean, if you were to dial in the perfect pressure to have in a house, it'd probably be 60, 65, because high pressure kind of ruins your appliances, you know, hot water heaters and washing machines, dishwashers. So you don't want too high of pressure, but you don't want it too low either. And at the bottom, if you know that subdivision, the bottom of the hill, it goes in there about 44 PSI. It's a little bit low, and that brings it up. The booster pump station brings it up to about 62, 63. So there's continuous, there's some small horsepower pumps in there that just pumps it up to
I remember
the 44 to
booster
the
station.
60. Yeah.
So we could tell a resident that is still using one of these booster things that it's no longer.
Take it offline, yeah.
Take it offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless they have a pressure they want higher for some reason, you know.
Which you wouldn't recommend.
It's not needed. Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
In terms of the operation maintenance of that booster station, is that effective, as soon as it starts up? Or like other things in the subdivision, is it when the
Subdivision is
everything's
accepted.
accepted, the roads
Yeah.
are accepted and such? How does that work?
I think of it as the latter, that when the subdivision gets accepted, that the booster pump station will be part of that. In the meantime, we've had training, we visit it, eventually it'll be daily, but we visit it often. We go in there and it's running like a clock right now.
So at the very least, there would be oversight from the water department, anybody, who's doing anything with the equipment there, right, in terms of contractors, they understand that would only be with the oversight of the water department, right?
Yep.
Regardless of,
Ultimately, we'll be taking it over as we would our other two stations, and the tanks.
And is that connected to SCADA?
Yes. Yeah, we had them add that to SCADA too. There's not much to look at though, which is good. I mean, that's you look at the temperature and you look at the the trend lines for the pressure, and it's right there daily. It's alarmed. If the pressure is too low or too high, you get alarms. That's about all I had, except if you wanted to hear a wish list, I could tell you that.
I think your 10 minutes are just about up.
Thank you, Phil.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Well
much.
done.
Who's next? Highway.
Highway or your way, huh?
It's actually the Highway Grounds Maintenance Division.
Nice, okay.
Tom Benedetti, superintendent of that division. We'll take highway first, I guess. As you know and have seen around town, you've had to dodge some roads, a lot of detours. And that goes right along with our aggressive paving program that we've been working on all summer. To backstep a little bit, we came out of this real tough winter, and I don't think people remember how cold it was because of this beautiful summer we've enjoyed. But that deep cold did a lot of damage to our drainage systems, more than I've ever seen in my 20 years here. It just destroyed a lot of catch basins and manholes. We're still repairing them. We probably had a good 24 or so that failed on us, and that connects to piping, connects to other things that need to be addressed. So over the summer, we've caught a day here or a day there where we can get away from our big projects and go in and do our maintenance things. So I just have to tell you, being fully staffed on that division, and thanks to this board and Bob McGee for doing that, we're able to get out there and do a lot more than we have before. The preparation for all our paving projects, we can do a lot of that work ourselves, which in turn saves the town money.
Hey, Tom, how do they fail? Concrete, does it crack? Or?
The concrete, it deteriorates from salt, calcium that we use as ice control. It acts just like a pothole. You get a crack in a brick or a cement block that's in the catch basin, water goes in, we got that deep freeze, it expands, it breaks it apart. Eventually that falls into the bottom of the sump. And we'll go around, all of a sudden we'll see the asphalt fail on the edge of the catch basin.
Is that what happened on Diamond Street?
That's a culvert. That's not a manhole or catch basin. That's a culvert. That culvert was an old metal culvert, corrugated pipe culvert. And what happens is over the years, of course, even galvanized, it starts to rust. Salt, calcium enhances that. And then all of a sudden, that top of that pipe will rot away and it collapses on itself. Creates a restriction in the pipe. Now all of a sudden we've got poor flow. The road can start caving in because that pipe's not supporting that ground above it anymore. That's why usually with culvert crossings like that, you like to use what we call RCP, which is reinforced concrete pipe. That strong. It's pretty much impervious to salt and calcium treatments and stuff like that. It's thick, it's hardened, it's a high PSI concrete, and it lasts. I think the town years and years ago, got a great deal on this metal corrugated pipe because it's everywhere and it's starting to fail. So, as we see it, we address it. Water department was doing a dig on King Street before we paved it, changing out a gate. and all of a sudden, they saw a corrugated piece of pipe going across the road between two catch basins, which isn't the way you do drainage, but this was the way it was done years ago. And it was rotting away. It was failing. So luckily, we had the hole half open. We had them replace it. So that's how the drainage systems work in town. People see the cover, the manhole cover or the catch basin. They see the water going in it, but they don't see what's underneath. There's a lot underneath that can fail over time, and we got hit pretty hard this past winter. But saying that, we came out of the gate doing a lot of maintenance work, and then really stepped into our paving program. The demilitarized zone on Park Street was paved first, which made a lot of people very happy. And it came out good. It came out really good. We did some prep work there. We held it together all winter as best we could, but boy, it was going fast. And in the meantime, since then, we've done Campbell Street, a section of Campbell, a section of Tucker, which was a big undertaking. And if people drive down Medway Branch, take a spin down the
nice.
I
Tucker
went,
Road.
I went down Tucker yesterday,
Yeah.
and it looks great.
Came out great.
Looks
It really
great.
did.
They
And,
did a
and
great
those
job.
stone walls on either side of the road, our guys did those. We have some great masons on the highway crew. Dan Courtney and Johnny, and all four guys can work masonry and wall building, and they do a great job. And the one on the right side where the telephone pole is, heading towards Medway Street,
Beautiful.
they did that in a day, in just about a day. They did a little finishing touches after that, but and that's, how many feet was that, Bob, you remember? 80 feet of
feet?
stone wall.
The landscaping looks great, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
yeah,
did come out.
did a
And,
nice
and, you
job.
know, paving in the driveway aprons, it brought everything together. I think the residents really, we got a great thank you card from the whole street, and, that really helps out, when people
The
appreciate
whole
that.
street?
Well, the ones we visited in the night. So, it was,
Majority, at least.
it did come out really nice. It did.
It did. I
And,
was very impressed.
a great effort. And Bob's foresight he can see a street before it's done, so, which is good. Maple and King, we really got that cleaned up. Maple from the new development, Warren Ave, all the way down to King Street, and then King Street from just past Chickadee, where the new pavement starts, where they extended King Street, all the way back to the junior high school. When I went to the junior high school, King Street stopped there. So did Maple. They were both dirt roads, so. They are paved now. In our plans are to pave the rest of King Street down to Union and put a sidewalk in. We want to start working on Lake Street. Lake Street's going to get some interesting things done to it that it's going to take some real thought and time. I talked to Bob briefly about that this morning.
Is that going to be a spring project?
I think so. I think we may pick away at some of it over the fall and the winter if weather permits. We're going to keep it graded. We're going to do a professional grading on it and compaction to hold it together. If we got to do a little bit more in the wintertime, pay a little bit more attention to it, that's what we'll have to do. But I don't think it's going to see asphalt until spring. It's just too much preparatory work for it. We've done numerous patching areas. We did some ourselves. We did some with a contractor. Just recently, we had a contractor in for 2 days, and we prepped sections of Berry Lane that were just failing terribly. We have a section of Tucker Road we were going to do. Some driveway aprons they picked up for us to let us continue on another project. So it's a good combination of our own men and workforce and equipment with contractors and be able to complete these projects. Very aggressive paving schedule, probably the most aggressive I've seen since I've been here. Like I said, 20 years. Don't forget my 20-year pin.
I know, it's coming. Later tonight.
Yeah, later tonight, right. The forgotten division. Any questions about the highway division? Anything we're doing?
Oh, great work.
Happy with the detours?
Some of the streets you have coming up, there's a couple other ones, right, you have coming up.
Happy with the detours.
My wife's not.
Are we gonna get-
Fruit is there, fruit's on the list. We're gonna hold that together, because we want to do it right, and it's gonna take a pretty full grinding effort to mill that and repave it. And to do that, we need to visit money. That's the main thing. So we're gonna hold that together with some creative overlays and paving. We did some of it ourselves. I
Yeah,
think
those areas are much better.
yeah, they're holding together pretty good, but we want to go over those again with a paving machine. So we could have somebody come in next week or the week after, and we're going to do sections of that, just to hold it together. Fruit Street Extension, too. I mean, that's starting to fall apart. There are a few out there. I know people, I get phone calls all the time. I got one just recently from someone on Noon Hill. I need to call him back tomorrow, but, when's the lowest section of Noon Hill Ave going to be done? Well,
That's a newer road.
the upper section is. The lower section we didn't touch, and it's starting to go, but
The lower
that's
section
all-
is still a newer road
It
compared
is
to a
newer,
lot
yeah.
compared to a lot of other roads in town.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, it is. And that's all predicated on Chapter 90 funding, and, can we get in there, and we want to do the right job. We just don't want to go in there and lay some asphalt down and say, oh, that'll hold us for 5 or 6 years. It's really not the right job to do. Good milling and investigate the structures and any cross culverts and waterways first, and then, you start from the bottom up, just like anything else.
I see activity starting on Union Street, and it looks like some of that stonework is
Stone
going
wall.
to take place as well.
Yep.
So maybe you could just describe for us and for folks, what's planned, short-term, longer-term, as far as Union.
Union Street, that is something we're gonna patch there too, before the winter hits. We do have, there's a drainage system there that we're questioning. It is working, so we're holding back on touching it right away, because if we do pull that up, we're gonna have to close the road. And that's just too narrow a section to do half and half. The stone wall there, for years, we had a pretty tough shoulder there. And that drainage system, that drain is right there. And what was happening, as the drain was working slower and slower, it would create a puddle, and it was washing up against that whole banking. The best thing to do with a banking like that is draw it back, and we're building a stone wall there to hold the banking in, and it gives people better sight distance approaching that corner, too. You can see, a lot of the stone walls and the cutbacks on certain roads are all done for sight distance. If you notice the end of Tucker at Medway, we closed that intersection down. I mean, one of the main things is when an intersection is wide like that, people have a tendency to take the corner and they're looking back over their shoulder to see if traffic's coming. You shouldn't do that. You should come, at a perpendicular point and just look to your left to see the traffic
Yeah,
coming.
you narrowed it
Yeah.
a lot.
It is, you narrowed down a lot. Another thing is, I don't know if, I think some of us remember the intersection of Needham and 115 and North, and people would come down 115 onto North, and because the intersection was so wide and it narrowed down quick, that they'd be on the other side of the road going by Stony Brook, because they went too fast. So you narrow it down, you get them to slow down.
You had that on Cleveland, too.
Yeah, on Cleveland, too. It gets people to slow down and take that corner at a proper speed, especially now that you have a lot of pedestrian traffic and so on. A lot of that stone wall work is for that. It's to hold baggings in, it's to create better sight distance, it's to give us a better shoulder of the road. Any other questions about highway?
As you say, Miller and Myrtle was, the
Yeah.
board was obviously very involved in Miller and Myrtle
Yeah,
over
that's
the
all
past
set.
couple of years. That's nice to
Yeah.
have that done.
Two granite caps to go on the stone wall there. We have them, we just gotta get down there and put them in. Next couple of weeks, we'll go down there and install those. Much nicer coming out of that intersection, better sight distance.
Mr. Tomaszewski thanks you.
Yes, yes, I'm sure he does. It's all paved, and as a matter of fact, we use thermoplastic lines there.
Really?
New
Yeah.
pa-
It
with new
it looks,
pavement.
it looks great.
Yeah, they'll last a long time, which it's a good thing to do. It's a new pavement. Let's get some plastic on it. We won't have to paint it every year for at least 5 or 6 years.
You guys have done a phenomenal job this year. I'm with you. I've never seen this much road work done in the town. Knowing the amount of money we have and how you've managed to stretch it, you've done an incredible job.
Thank you.
So, thank you to all
Yeah,
of you.
I agree.
That's a testament to it's great planning on Bob's behalf and his direction to the division. And then I've got to give a lot of credit to that crew. And, those 4 guys, they work. They're good workers. They you know, it's a pleasure to be able to, you know, be their superintendent and their friend too, you know. They're good guys and they work hard. The grounds crew.
One more question on the road?
Sure, Heidi, sure.
And I guess it's really kind of a silly question in some regard, but how are you ever going to do that roundabout in the center of town?
Painfully.
I mean,
We're still working on that.
it's not so much doing it, it's how you're going to direct all the traffic and manage it is the part that just, I keep looking at that and saying, how in God's name are you going to do that? How
I
you
think
gonna
the
pull it
center's
off?
not gonna be that hard, because you can still get traffic around it.
So you're going to keep the flow going around it and
Keep
just
the
hope
flow
nobody runs you
going, I
over?
think, Yeah. I think the flow, I think we'll probably try to do, you know, divert truck traffic
Yeah.
away from it like we did this time.
I don't trust the cars
But you have
either.
no
They
way to
drive
send
right-
them, you have nowhere to send them if they're going towards Walpole.
True.
There's
True.
nowhere to go.
Well, you know, the long way. 115 to 1A.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
it's
sorry,
true.
yeah.
You know,
It's true, you could
know,
do that, yeah.
It's a temporary inconvenience. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, it's our town center, and we want to make it the best it can be, and if we have to make it an inconvenience for a couple of weeks, well, you know, please don't shoot us, that's all.
Or
And
run you over.
Just a commercial on that, because a lot of folks don't remember or know that that was a state project.
Yes.
That the
Yes, that was a
state did
tip
that,
project, yeah.
And, that, you know, they did it their way,
That's right,
not our way.
that's right.
And-
The design for those roundabouts is actually the new reconstructed roundabout is the correct design for a roundabout. That supposed to have vertical granite
Right.
with a slanted surface, rumble surface, whether it be brick or cobble or whatever, to indicate to people that you're not supposed to be up there. The yellow line's supposed to do it too. You're supposed to stay within marked lanes.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. So that tells the trucks when they tip that they gotta get wider, gotta get wider. And that makes me feel good, because I've probably fixed the roundabout 50 times from truck tires that go through the grass, you know?
Yep.
So, it's gonna be interesting. Those walkways are gonna be interesting to reroute traffic. Carlson Circle's gonna come into play, and,
Yep.
it could be a couple parking lots that, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I've had folks
Traffic.
blaming you guys for the mistake to begin with, and
Oh.
I've tried to tell them, look, this one's, we're fixing the mistake.
that's right.
Yeah.
The state gave us so much to work with under their design
In their project.
and their project.
It was their money too, right? Because people think
was
we're
their money.
because people think we're double spending. That's like I think what Jim was saying too, and it's not.
It would not. That was a TIP project, Transportation
Right.
Improvement Project. So,
Yeah.
They still don't. People still don't.
So
get
this,
that.
this is just a public commercial,
Yes,
is
it
really
is.
what
Yes,
this
it
is.
is.
But,
yes, it is. Don't blame the people who are fixing
well,
it.
it's, you know, it is what it is. I mean, just, you know, blame who you want, but do it with fact.
That's right.
all.
That's
Yeah.
right. Do the research.
Yeah.
My favorite division, grounds division. We invested in some new mowers. We invested in some new help. We released, we didn't renew the contract of the mowing contract, the private contractor that was doing our mowing. And thank you for getting us through it, but we're doing it now, and we're getting a lot of response from it. A lot of, thank you very much.
Is that from like rec and all the
Coming
sports
back,
and
yeah, for coming back and doing this, because having control over it yourself, over the mowing, and it's not just rec. I mean, we mow the cemetery. The cemeteries are near and dear to me. I think the board knows that. And we get a lot of accolades about our cemeteries and how well they're kept. We're compared to a lot of the surrounding towns. I have a lot of the funeral directors. One of the most outspoken people, you'll remember him from baseball, was Richie Hebner. Richie works for one of the funeral directors that we deal with. And every time Richie comes in, says, "Do you even let a leaf hit the ground before you pick it up?" He thinks the guys do a magnificent job, and they do. And I have to give credit to our old timers who were there, Jay and Dave, who they kept it going when we had a small crew and had cuts and everything else, and they kept those cemeteries looking fantastic. But with the new equipment, the new mowing equipment that was purchased with money that the board allowed us to purchase these with, and with the people, the full crew that we have now, that we're back to where we should be. We have a full mowing schedule. We've been able to expand a little. We were able to do something this year that I've wanted to do for probably 10 years, and that's plant that island in the two one-ways out here. I mean, that really dressed it up nice. It pulls the town together again. We have this centerpiece we're working on, and it's kind of a constant project to find things that we can do to make it look nice. I know that, you know, my next thing I think is the front of the town hall needs a little bit of sprucing up. But this crew it really does a great job. So we have all the mowing back inside. I don't know if people realize that crew takes care of our celebrations on Memorial Day, our Veterans Day. They take care of all the flags. They do all the burials in the cemeteries. That's something I think I'm coming back to the board for. We had done some price increases for the cemeteries, and one of the things we did do was increase the cost for burial on a weekend, but we didn't go the full amount at the time. Well, I'm seeing more and more burials on the weekend, more and more, because you have more and more cremations, and it allows people to say, I'm waiting till spring, till there's good weather, if it's December or January. And when that good weather hits, they have people come in from out of town, and it's usually a Saturday that they bury on. We don't allow it on Sundays or certain holidays, so Sunday's becoming a big deal, and that involves overtime. Overtime costs go up. We need to cover those. We're not in the business of making money on burials.
But you're not in the business of losing money either.
That's right. That's right.
And you have a number in mind, and you know, you have the breakdown and what it would.
Yeah, I'm going to look at how many Saturday burials I want to get the numbers together before I show facts and figures to the board. I want to go over it with Bob and get his input on it. We still are, you know, it's hard to say you're in competition with anyone, but we still are very low cost when it comes to that, purchasing a grave and providing burial services for residents. And, we're cheaper than a lot of places.
Can you just quickly share with folks what the requirements are for the Norfolk Cemetery?
To be buried
Yeah.
in Norfolk Cemetery, you need to be a 20-year resident, and I think it's 59 years of age or older.
Do you still have to be a resident at the time of death too, or just the 20 years?
No, at the time of death, that's a need. Then the Norfolk resident can come be buried in the cemetery, and they can purchase a certain number of graves at that time. But if you want to plan ahead, you have to be a 20-year resident, 59 years age or older, and then we can accommodate you by getting together and selling you some graves. Veterans, all veterans in Norfolk are buried for nothing. There's no cost.
Nice.
There's a cost to their spouse if they want to be buried with them. Some spouses don't want to be buried with them. But if they do, there's a cost there. Some people don't realize that it's just flat markers in the veteran section. The veteran gets his granite flat marker for nothing from the military. And then, of course, the spouse has to get theirs and pay for theirs. But it mimics Bourne, the veteran cemetery in Bourne, with just flat markers. And believe it or not, it does help in maintenance, because there is an awful lot of trimming that goes on in the cemetery around gravestones. Very particular. You don't want to see the carnations flying up as the trimmer goes by, or the roses, or whatever has been planted there. And that can happen, but by accident. But it's tedious, and the flat markers, you're able to move faster. Concom, we do assist Concom. We do mow the Lynn property twice a year. We got to get in there for the second time this year. We haven't got there yet. But at times, we take care of the turtle signs for them. That's either division can do that. The turtle crossing signs. They have a huge tree in the Coon Park that needs to come down. It's right on the edge of a person's property, a huge pine that could crush their barn. that needs to come down. So we assist them in a lot of things, and we assist them in the wonderful chase of the beaver.
I was wondering when you were going to bring that up. I figured it would come
I
up
was
sooner
kind
or
of,
later.
I waited till Concom. I wanted to segue in.
See, I go back to the Board of Health on some of these things, and there's
Right.
a long history.
Well, the beavers are active, very active. We've had our trapper come in. He does an inspection. He does it within season. He's done a great job for us. There is something he's doing with Medfield, I have to look into it, where he's under contract year-round. They give him, it's like an NOI, I guess, that he has carte blanche when we call him to go in and take care of business. They are doing a lot of damage. They are blocking that, I think it's a 36-inch culvert under River Road that the Mill River dumps into the Charles. They are busy there. There's a lot of debris, and they can block that thing solid in probably 2 days.
Busy,
It's a
busy
plug.
beavers.
And it's a plug. And they, yeah.
I mean,
You had to come up with that, didn't you?
well, it's good work. It's impressive work they do then.
It is. Yeah, they are probably the best engineers I've ever seen.
No, sir.
Best.
Yeah.
No offense, Phil.
How about Park Street? I mean, is that area improved from prior years? I know we've had problems over there,
Yeah, we
too.
had, on Lawrence, right there at the bridge, we've had a little bit of a problem there. Park Street, not so much in that low-lying area.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much there. We did get that culvert cleared, and they haven't been really bothering with that. Although on Union Street, they do, by Castle. They love to block that single culvert we have there. That one, the culvert that goes under Union Street at King Street, they're very active there. I haven't seen too much of them down on the Mill River, down Miller Street area. But they're out there, and every time they have kits, the kits get big, mama kicks them out of the nest, they gotta go upstream and downstream and find a spot that they can build. Do you know what the #1 killer of beavers is now?
Highway Department.
Automobiles, not highway trucks.
No, the power maintenance man.
Automobiles. They get kicked out of the nest, they cross the road to get down the other side of the river, and they get run over. City Mills, very active. Still very active. So, when the season opens, we'll bring the trapper in. I'm gonna talk to him more about that year-round thing and what the cost would be, but I think we did increase that line item in the budget, the rivers and streams line item.
We did.
Yeah, to tackle this, because it's definitely becoming an issue. Thank goodness it hasn't impacted anyone's septic system as of yet. I mean, it can, very easily.
How about, maybe Bob, I don't know, the bridge down on Lawrence Street?
Yeah,
I mean,
They've been-
1914?
yeah.
Is
You're
it,
not talking about a beaver problem, you're talking about a bigger problem.
Oh, you're talking about the bridge itself?
yeah, the bridge
Yeah,
itself?
that's in the works. I think
Right, I
Bob-
didn't know if you were talking about beavers there either, but,
No, I wasn't talking about beavers, I was talking about the bridge itself.
you've approved a project, and we have money ready to go, and, then the whole thing came up about development up
Right.
at the Mann property, and, we chasing money with, good money, and, but I was gonna give a call to, the contractor and the consultant that was gonna oversee this project. We just kinda like hold it together with a cast of concrete. No real structural improvements, but it would still buy another 5 years, and that's the way I sold the project to you. And I'm gonna make that phone call pretty soon, because it's been real dry, and this is as low as it's gonna get, so, spent a lot of time on Diamond Street, and it ate up a lot of my time. You get into a project, and it just got bigger and bigger, and then, so I think I'm gonna try to get over to Lawrence Street and patch that up a little bit, that bridge.
I know if that development goes forward, I don't think it would sustain any of the traffic that that development would require.
No, this bridge won't. That's, for a little while, that's about it.
And,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I just forgot, isn't that terrible? That's a bad sign. Gosh,
No comment.
it'll come back.
It will.
Yeah, it'll probably about 11 o'clock, I'll call.
Yeah, give
No problem.
me a call.
Send an email.
Gosh, why can't I think of it? Oh, it did come back.
Okay.
The dam.
On Main Street?
Long conversation. You're talking about City Mills. We just had a report done on it, and we're waiting to hear back from the state now. So the findings wasn't very promising. And I even asked for an estimate, and we're talking like $250,000 to do so many different things, and how much of that we really need to do. It's coming from a consultant who would like to get the work too, probably. So I really don't know, and we're sitting tight to see what the state has to say about that report.
Okay. All right, thanks.
That's definitely another one that needs to be addressed.
All right.
That's just kind of an overview of our, the two divisions. The full staffing, I just have to keep saying, it's just been a godsend. And I say full staffing, but the staffing we have now is holding us together. I would definitely like more employees.
I was just going to say, where's the
So I
plug?
could get
There you
more
go.
done.
Yeah.
I could put 3 highway crews, 3 two-man crews out there every day and be busy all day long. Very, 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 very easy. I could have 3 grounds crews and just take 2 of them and put them on roadside cutting all year round. I mean, that's a huge undertaking. We've always wanted to go out in the wintertime and do a lot of that cutting, you know, take the trees that are this big, that are on this side of the stone walls and so on, and get ourselves a good buffer on the edge of the road, at least 10 feet, 6 to 10 feet. And of course, we've had these winters that don't allow that. They can go out, and then in the spring you'd have stumps about this high everywhere. And it's better to do it when we don't have the snow. And it would be better to have a permanent crew on there. Actually, if you see some of the other towns, like Rentham has a good-sized John Deere with a mid-mount boom mower on it. And they have one guy that just goes out, does his thing.
All day, every day?
All day, every day, all summer long, he does the road, he cuts back the roads. This thing will go up the tree, take the branches, everything that's overhanging. It looks unsightly in the summertime because you got leaves and branches destroyed everywhere, but you like to get out there first thing in the spring, and then as the leaves start to fall in the fall time, and then do your grooming in the summer.
How expensive
I was
is that
gonna
piece
say,
of
yeah,
equipment?
That piece of equipment now is probably, I'm gonna say, 65, Paul? Right there, 65,000 for that tractor with the boom mower. It could actually act as another loader for us too, if we needed it. You could get it with a front end, bucket attachment. But its main job would be to do that roadside cutting and keep it cut. Keep it
Yeah.
moving.
I've seen Foxborough has one. They buzz through town.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work done.
I mean, there's a few pieces of equipment that can do that. They have, Bob was looking, we were looking at some trackless or holders is what they call them, and they do a bunch of different things. They have the mower, but they can also plow sidewalks, and there's a bunch of things that they can do. It's a multi-use machine, but it's $125,000, $130,000 for the machine. Might even be more now. About 140, yeah.
But it does multiple things.
Yep, it does multiple things. Our equipment's come a long way since I've been here, my 20 years.
Pin. Got that.
It has, it's come a long way. The new mowing equipment is state-of-the-art. It's fast. That allows us to pick up projects and do extra things. So it's nice to have new equipment.
Yes, sir.
And that's it. Any other questions?
Good. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you.
for the
Thank
time.
you. Well
And the
done.
great work, too.
Thank you very much. Oh, you got 2 minutes.
Compete with beavers and manganese. I don't know if I can compete with that.
No, but
we'll
you
give
can
it a
make
try.
sure none of their equipment gets out on the road again.
No, I want to keep them all out on the road. All those nice things that you just heard, as long as they're out on the road, they can do that. Paul Vito, Superintendent, Vehicle Maintenance, Solid Waste. I'm going to give you a real quick overview because Bob told me I had to be home by 8:30. We've got to start just like Tom did after we came out of that long, cold winter. Vehicle maintenance was pretty busy trying to get equipment ready for summer. We picked up our new hire in March, and he's working out really well. He fit right in very nicely.
Is
And
that
we've-
John?
No, this kid is Benjamin Konoski.
Okay.
something along those lines. Still can't spell his name.
Ben,
Ben, yeah,
Ben
it's
is
Ben. Younger kid, very well-rounded. He's worked out really well. He just fit in like he had been there already. He's got a long way to go as far as, going through a complete year and a complete cycle. He's got a lot to learn. It's a lot of equipment that he's not used to working on. But he's fit in well, and, we were able to get these guys out of the gate on time. Of course, the new mowing equipment did help out a lot, made it a lot easier. But he's worked out really well, and we did get out of the gate. We have our new equipment, 2 new pieces ordered. We have our new dump truck coming. Should be here probably somewhere around December or January. Long time to build them. Backhoe is coming. Hopefully within another month or so, we should have the backhoe in. So we should be in good shape with those 2 pieces for most of the winter. Let's see, what else have we had going on? We got the exhaust system for the big truck garages done. That's done and up functioning and working. We've actually used it several times during the warm weather, so it's going to be a good year-round piece. And I think it will help the building air quality a whole lot, without a doubt. We've already started on snow equipment. We're probably 60% in the snow equipment, and we should be ready by the second week of October. I should have all the equipment ready, just in case. Just in case it snows. Just in case.
Second week of October.
Yep.
Love your enthusiasm.
About the second, well, then I can start moving on the summer equipment again, because it'll be coming back in to get fixed to get ready for next year, so I should be in good shape. Fire equipment, all their stuff has been sent out for all their annual tests and certifications. They're all up and running. Police with the new vehicles they've gotten, has taken a lot of weight off of fighting with some of the older vehicles they had. And we've got them on a real good schedule. And service schedule we've had them on now, we hardly ever see them. Fire department, that's another story. They kind of live with us. Pretty much vehicle maintenance is pretty much running relatively smoothly. Second new truck would be really nice. Hopefully we can look into a second new truck. That'd be a great help to us all. And get rid of some of these.
Thank you.
Get rid of that last older truck that we have. Like I said, not as interesting as these guys, but that's about what we've got going on right now. Solid waste. Solid waste, we've had a really good year. We've produced a lot of materials. With the compactors that we put in year before last, we've cut hauls on those 2 products in half, and we're hauling twice the weights each time we go. They're actually starting to pay for themselves where they weren't before. It's loosened the guys up a whole lot, loosened the staff up a whole lot over there, and they've been able to get into these landscape materials, which we've been doing really well with. We've picked up each year, we've picked up probably 20–30% each of the 3 years we've been doing it. I see it starting to really sprout this year. I'm seeing a lot of interest from all the residents. I'm getting calls from, small landscapers and contractors now. Starting to get calls from, non-decal holders, non-sticker holders that are hearing about it. We've had a lot of people now starting to purchase the looms and compost and stuff that we've had, and it's starting to catch on.
Is it, sorry, Paul, I mean,
Yep.
would it help, give my assessment, would it help to do any marketing around that? I mean, for the contract, was it word of mouth's working, or do you have enough supply if there was more demand, I guess?
Well, this is inventory. Inventory is what we're trying to work on now. We're trying to get ahead on inventory, and we've been able to keep up with it. We've been able to stay with a decent inventory.
Okay.
But I wouldn't feel, I'm not comfortable yet
Yeah.
with the staff we have, with
Right.
what we have to do, along with,
Your day job, yeah.
yeah, along with our regular schedule. it's tough. So if we pushed it too hard at this point, I don't think we'd be able to keep up with sales.
Okay, no, I'm just wondering, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
you get it sounds very encouraging. I just didn't know, like a push, you know, a marketing push, if you will, if it was.
Yeah, and there may be a point where, you know, as time goes on, as we get more organized with it too, we're really starting to get organized with it where we weren't so organized with it before.
Sure.
You know, and the more organized we get, you know, the better it's working out and the more inventory we've been keeping on site. The more inventory we can keep on site, then I could start looking towards maybe some kind of a small marketing. But I know it's really kicked off and people are really happy with the products we've been putting out there. And the yard is getting, again, like I said, very organized. Everything is in its place. So, you know, that's worked out really well, and I'm starting to see it actually turn some decent revenues. This past year, we worked well within the budget. Budget worked out well in solid waste, and we closed a huge gap from last year that we had between expenses and revenues. So it's all kind of starting to come around. Rentals, the rental containers were another thing. Had a banner year with rental containers this year. There was anywhere from a 4 to 6 week wait all
these are
season long.
disposals?
All
Disposal
season
units?
long. Yep, all season long. We even put out a few more units than we did last year. We were running 6 units compared to 3 units last year. So, you know, all these little things, it's all starting to help out, and you know, there's a lot of things that have worked out with hauling that have given us a little more time. And another thing is going to be equipment. We're going to be starting to look for equipment. If the screening is going on the small screen that we have, it's another thing. The smaller screen that we have, you can't produce the amount of material that we'd like to produce in a day. We don't need to go to, you know, anything massive, but we need to step up probably another size, and then we could do some, you know, then we could have some inventory. We could do some inventory.
So would it pay for itself, you think, if you had to step up eventually? I mean, it would.
If the materials keep going the way they're going, and we start turning some revenues with it, then I could tell you whether it could pay for itself or not. And yes, it would pay for itself. Right now, I don't think it would take a while to pay for that investment. But as I see this starting to pick up each year, then I could bring it down to, you know, yes, it could pay for itself in 2 years or in a year and a half, or, you know. The roll-off is another, you know, the roll-off is due up fiscal 16. It's got 300,000 miles on it. That's going to be getting ready for some very major work. So right now I'm going to start, probably in the next month or so, I'm going to start looking at numbers to replace that. And like I said, 300,000 miles, it's worked hard, and it's time to start looking at it. Whether we see it in 16 or not, I doubt that's going to happen, but it's going to be time. It's going to be time. You know, again, solid waste has really changed. We have 3 guys, full-time staffers, 3 full-time staffers. They do a great job at the station itself on the days they're open. We've revamped all the buildings over the past couple of years. We've painted every building. We've done all the repairs. We have now the new scale is installed, and it has been certified. Okay. Now we are in the process of working out all the bugs that we're going to hit before we open the door.
You dedicating that scale?
Oh yeah, there will be a big sign. There will be a big
Curtis,
sign.
yeah, thank this gentleman in his face. Right? You can
Big
thank
sign.
X person.
Well, you know, it was a great idea, and scaling would be a great savings, but it would never pay for itself. I'd love to have it drive on scale.
Yeah.
Bulk, the way we're doing it, and you were not wrong with electronics. Tough, but was the only formula we could come up with.
Yeah, you don't have a better way of doing it.
To do what we were trying to do. Now that we can weigh, we should, you know, we're going to be fine. Problem is, people are going to start wanting to weigh bulk.
Well, I'm sure you go to the dentist
And that's-
landfill down the Cape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
that's-
got a little reason to be down there,
That's
and they've got that huge scale.
Yeah, which is
But their
a
traffic
beautiful
is
piece.
up the charts.
Oh.
I mean, you know,
Drive-on scale?
it's a drive-on scale.
Oh yeah, they have a
Yeah.
drive on. Yeah,
But they have an operation that open 7 days a week, every day, and the traffic, there's a line to get in there.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal down
Yeah.
there, and there's a line that runs,
Yeah.
you know, you could be backed up, you know, 3/4 of a mile down there
Dearborn.
in the summertime. And the way they do it, I mean, it's a drive-through, drive-on,
And it's a moneymaker.
it's done, and it's a really nice setup. They have a lot of room, which allows them to be able to do that. And they, you know, that would be a beautiful setup. But for what we have here,
Yeah, well, you don't have the volume.
Out
that
of
they
the
have.
question.
Yeah, not even
Totally out of the
close.
question.
Yeah. And they have a huge solar project there, too.
Makes sense.
yeah,
The
they
old
just did a
landfill.
yeah, they just
Yeah.
did a solar project there, yep, yep. But the scale, we're trying to work out some of the bugs we're gonna run into with the scale, and one of them's gonna be bulk. People are gonna wanna weigh bulk, and we're trying to figure out how we're gonna handle that bridge. We need
Just
to have a bridge
How much
there.
will the scale handle?
It's a 5,000-pound scale, but it's only 5 by 5.
How you gonna put a couch in, you know, how you gonna
Well,
put
you
things in?
can't,
Yeah.
Well,
it's a very
cou-
small truck.
Yeah, couch is a kind of cut and dry, but it's the people that are gonna come in with the barrels full of stuff, and that's what we're trying to work out now. How are we gonna handle it? Because we know we're gonna have that problem. We had a situation a few weeks ago where a gentleman come in and was just out of his mind because he just felt that what we were charging him was too much money. And I know that gentleman's gonna come back in and he's gonna wanna put his stuff on the scale. We have to figure out how to keep the traffic moving. If he wants to put it on the scale, we're gonna allow him to do that, but we have to be able to keep the traffic moving. So there's a few things we have to work out before we can put the dedication sign up and unblanket.
Brought to you by-
Unblanket the new scale.
The traffic jam brought to you by James Lehan.
But it's gonna, I mean, it is gonna be a godsend if we can get it all to work the way we want it to work, you know? And for electronics, it'll be the fairest way to do it.
It will be a fair way, once you get it worked out.
Yeah, it will be.
It'll be a fair way.
So, I think that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, that was pretty fast. How'd I do, Bob? 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-minute drive home.
Thank you.
Did you get your pin? I mean, if Tom's getting a pin, I mean, you've been here forever. Come on.
Well, let's see. He's got 4.5 to get to 62. I got 4.5 hoping I can get to retirement. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Paul. Thank you.
We get you,
Great
Bob?
job, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess, I know you guys probably want to give them some accolades. I just want to thank you guys for coming, and
Thank you very much.
All you do.
appreciate the DPW as a whole. I think the amount of professionalism in the department is, you see it across all divisions, and you guys all do a great job. Your teams do a great job, and I think that, I get a lot of compliments. They see the roads a lot, so people tend to focus on that, and they see the grounds a lot, and so they focus on that. So I guess Tom gets a lot of the credit, but without Paul in the background fixing things and running the transfer station, and Phil, the water division, you and Al's been there for a while now. We've brought that division. You've brought that division light years ahead. So. Proud of all of you and
Thank you.
the work the department's done. So, thank you.
I would echo everything Jack said. I just add one more thing. All of you, your guys are tremendously courteous, polite, even with agitated folks. I've seen them down, especially down in the landfill, or the transfer station, Paul, where people have gotten a little, for whatever reason, your guys have handled it very well. They're professional, they're courteous. Everybody that I've run into, and I've heard it from many, many people, that you guys, your whole team does a wonderful, wonderful job. And having gone through the water transformation over the last 10 years, you guys are just leaps and bounds where we were. So thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Well
Sure.
done, gentlemen. Well
Happy to
done.
do it.
Thanks, Bob.
Good night.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bob, you don't have a presentation?
Please no.
I'm just kidding.
Missed. Thank you. Thank you. You gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go. Go, Bob. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, moving along then. The signage, Jackie, please consider reviewing and revising the signage. Is this list changed? Or, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so this is the event signage on, I guess, page 2 of your packet there. This is really the A-frame signs. They're mostly A-frames that Marion and I approve. This is the list that the Board of Selectmen years ago created. So we made a couple of changes to it, and so we just wanted to bring it to you. And really, the third one down, just to we clarified that location for people. It's the main street at the cemetery, and really there's a Pondview Road, if you look at the little street signs coming out of the cemetery. So that's where the people are supposed to put the sign. And then the two locations down at the bottom, the school access road by the Norfolk Grange. I talked to Dr. Lardy about that, and they've been approving that. They just, I said we'd be, because people tend to come to us and we refer them over there, and she said, by all means, you can go ahead and approve that for the school committee. They just asked that location be focused on a school partner.
How are you going to know if they're a school partner or not then? Do you have a list of the school partners?
We'll ask them, and
That's
we'll give
TPA.
the school department a
No,
call.
I know there's a list. I just didn't know if you know it or you're going to know it.
Marion knows everything. Really, there's very few things that Marion doesn't know.
That's for sure.
It's a small town.
Sorry, not everyone's a partner, because people try to get into be partners, and I've seen the school committee not approve everybody, so.
And then the Norfolk Town Hall out in front, we've been putting signs up here for the last couple of years, but it wasn't really an approved location. So we, unless you guys have a problem with that, we just added that to the list of possible locations where people could put signs.
Do we need to vote this, or?
I think it'd probably be a good idea if you formally just adopted the list.
Move to adopt the event signage as presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Marion.
Kind of the rules are unchanged on the next page, just people can have 4 locations and 2 weeks prior and 24 hours afterwards. Next, we have the warrant, and I actually got to give you
Not the one that was in the packet?
slightly revised.
Okay.
I added 3 to the bottom that you kind of knew was coming. Yes, you can.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So we just have to go to the bottom, the last 3 for now?
Well, the last 3 are the ones I added, and these are related to the wastewater treatment plant, and that's part of the mediation that's gone on with the town center condominiums. So these need to be kind of just, Pat Cantor needs to spin these a little bit with their legalese, but the gist of them are that we would take ownership of the wastewater treatment facility, ask the town if they want to take ownership, I should say. The second one is to create an enterprise fund, so like the water department, we would have an enterprise fund so that, and we don't have to do this, I just thought it was the right thing to do. We would create an enterprise fund so that all the revenues related to the septic treatment plant would fund the expenses for the treatment plant. We could run it just as a general fund department, but I think it would be relatively easy to run it as an enterprise fund, so that's why I suggested it. And then finally, just to create a budget within that enterprise fund would be the last step. Otherwise, we own something and we can't run it.
Okay.
So if you want to back up, we can run through. We do need you to close the warrant at some point. I did have, I don't know, I think Mary may have stuck that in the reading file, but I'm not positive. It came in,
Yes, this was in the reading file.
okay, so this came in after the deadline. And so this is a request to add an articles that related for the same purpose to the town meeting warrant. That would have to be, would be a zoning change, is to allow a contractor's, kind of a landscape headquarters or contractor's headquarters to be located in the B1 district. This is related to a business that's not in compliance with zoning currently. Bob Bullock has been working with them, and the history is they submitted, the owner of the property submitted a warrant article to the zoning bylaw study committee last spring. They weren't in favor of it, so they didn't bring that forward as a submission to the town meeting, and I believe believe it went to the planning, there was at least a discussion about it at the planning board. Neither of the two committees wanted to sponsor it, and so it never got to the selectmen last spring, unbeknownst to the property owner. So at that time, when we got to town meeting time and told them that the article did not make it through the process, we said, what you need to do now is, since those two committees, which are really in charge of zoning articles as submission, as part of our traditional submission process, what you need to do is petition the selectmen to add that to the warrant. That didn't happen. For whatever reason, they did not create a petition, but they did recently hire an attorney who's familiar with the town and our process, and he created the articles and would like us to add it to the warrant article, to the town meeting warrant. I told him that he was past the deadline for submission, but said I would submit it to the selectmen, and he'd be willing to come in and meet with the selectmen or the planning board or the zoning bylaw study committee, whatever, if you're interested in entertaining it.
So you didn't have him come in today, 'cause I see the note here, because you explained the background of why it kind of fell, not maybe fell through the cracks, but.
Yeah, I mean, I told him I didn't think it was really fair to come in blindly and meet you without at least having a discussion about whether or not you wanted to even entertain it.
When did you tell him that he could get a petition to come to bring it onto the warrant?
Not the attorney, but the attorney we didn't talk to until after the deadline.
But the
Property
applicant,
owner,
per se.
if not May, then June. The landscaper who this is involved in came in August to pick up the petition forms to try and get the process going. I don't think either the contractor or the property owner are town residents. Doesn't prevent them from getting petitions, going out and seeking signatures. They can't sign it themselves, but, so they knew about it this summer. I had a very frank conversation with the property owner. I want to say it was late August, might have been early September, and said, where have you been for the last 3 months? I'm not just going to add, she didn't have an article to submit to me, and I said, I'm not going to create the zoning for you. You need to create a petition if you're gonna do this. I mean,
What would the petition require, because this is a special, would it
100
require 100 now as opposed to like
100
50?
It's 100, I think.
I don't know.
For a special meeting.
Special meeting is 100, right, versus what,
special
50?
means 110 is for a regular town meeting, annual town meeting.
And if this doesn't get, so what's, I know you said Bob's been having discussions, so if this doesn't, make it onto this warrant here, what's really gonna happen? What's
He
gonna-
has issued, whatever, fines, a letter of,
Non-compliance, or non-conformity, I don't know what the words are, some words. And they find.
he's told them they've got to get out. The contractor has to get out of that location.
Have they been paying
He's
the
told
fines?
them that he'll hold off until, they've actually appealed it to the zoning bylaw committee. Yeah, the ZBA, zoning board of appeals. And so he's waived the fees and fines until they go through that process. But really, that's just buying time so that they could get on to the town meeting.
Well, without judging the right or wrong of the article, I guess I have difficulty in accepting a warrant article that doesn't come through a process that all of our warrant articles come through. We accept any petition that any citizen brings forward as long as it complies with our requirements. We accept requests from various boards that submit them appropriately and have been vetted to some degree. I don't ever remember a warrant article going on just by an individual saying, I want to change zoning, showing up and giving it to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Selectmen putting it on the warrant.
I don't either.
I can never recall that happening.
I think, yeah, more to Jim's point, too, a little uncomfortable, like you said.
It's
you-
process. I'm
Yeah,
not-
well,
I'm not-
you know,
I'm not- I
I've
mean, I'm
also-
sympathetic to the issue, but there is a right and wrong way to do it, and that's why I asked when the applicant was aware of the process. You know, if they've known about this for 3 months, and as you said, didn't do anything for 3 months, then, you know, I struggle with the principle of it anyway, in that just an individual showing up and saying, I want this on the warrant.
Right, without this.
I've
you know,
never
petition
known
form.
that to happen,
I
And they
understand.
went through the right process in the spring, they just,
and
they
got
didn't
turned
make it
down.
through. They got turned down.
Right. So they can still come back with the citizens. I'd rather see, you know, this meeting, 100 people want to put it on there, or 10, not us three gentlemen.
it's
or
too
people
late
say-
now.
Yeah, it's too late now, so I'm not.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, you know, in many respects, what we do is to facilitate the process. You know, so when we go beyond that to do something that goes beyond, you know, what's,
Yeah,
the process as it's defined, and clearly defined, and it's been articulated, then
Why should
I
everyone
guess
else follow the
that-
process?
yeah,
either,
I mean,
right?
that,
And just-
that is a concern. It's a concern.
I mean, I think it's unfortunate it wasn't communicated to them. You know, that's,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's required per se, but to me, it's common courtesy that one would communicate the results of a meeting to whoever brought an issue before them. But I don't think it changes the fact that this isn't the right way to bring a warrant article on. So I would decline.
Do you want, Jack, do we need to make a do we need to see if it gets moved to add it, or does he want to, you know, or do you?
You can either just not take any action and it just dies quietly, or you can make any, you know, you can,
All right, I agree with that.
Aggressive
So he has, well,
motion.
now, do I have a motion to, for the selectmen to add this article? Seeing none? No action. Not added. Thank you.
so then, we do have the rest of the warrant. We want to run through them quickly, or we can just kind of study them and then talk about it in 2 weeks, whichever. I mean, it's pretty short, so.
You want to just quickly talk about the conversation that I had with Cole on the Capitol? Or you want to hold off on that for a little bit? I mean, there's an article on here for Capitol, so we don't have to discuss that tonight.
You mean Article 5?
It's further, forgotten where it is, but there is a Capitol article on here. It might be Article 5.
Oh, it just says it's a capital
4,
budget.
5, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
capital
Article
budget,
5,
right.
yeah.
There's no mention of money, all right.
No, I mean, we haven't gotten to that point yet, so we can hold off on
Yeah,
that
I would
discussion.
hold off.
Yeah. I'll give you, we'll just give you, I think we're gonna wanna, you know, go through the regular capital process. That's, Cole updated his capital items, not just for this year, but for years going out. And I think we probably want him to come in sometime and talk about them, rather than me making up stuff, because that won't make any sense to anybody.
Okay, so this is kind of an inventory of what he has and how old it is, and some ideas, some comments regarding replacement. Okay.
I would just like to publicly thank everybody that participated in that new working group we put together this summer, and I will forget someone if I name them all off, but we met every single week, all summer long, and that's tough to get everybody here on a Monday night, and the attendance was outstanding. And they worked very hard to work through some very complicated issues that are before the town, so I just want to extend my thanks to that group and
Is that the
appreciate all
capital
their
meeting or
hard.
the working-
No, this is
No,
the working,
that's what I thought.
zoning
Okay,
working
yeah.
committee that we
Yes,
put
yes.
together. You know, attendance is always hard to get anybody at meetings during the summer, and you guys attended a number of the meetings as well. But they met every month, just about, maybe missed one or two here or there, but just about every Monday all summer long, and did great work. Very,
Yeah.
came without bias or opinion and tried to look at everything in a fair and honest way, and but all with the understanding that their role was to serve the best interest of the town. And they did a great job. So,
I
if
echo
any of you were
that.
listening tonight, thank you
And,
very much.
Very insightful, you know, their participation, very insightful.
Did a
so,
great job.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so any,
Very quickly, we just have a couple of money articles. So there's, transfers, there's unpaid bills, committee reports. We have an article to move $100,000 to the stabilization fund that you folks sponsored. Capital article, and then we have I think I just counted 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'm anxious to see who on the advisory board is going to be the poor soul that has to explain the registered marijuana
I'm looking
dispensary
at that
article.
right now.
It's huge.
So there are 8 zoning articles.
Oh,
Good
If
God.
the math is right. And we have an article by the town clerk, which is I think a great article saying that people over 70 no longer have to pay for their dog licenses. I won't say anything, Jim.
I'm not over 70. I just think it's great. I think it's a great law.
Didn't say sponsored by
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway.
We have 2 articles talking about seeking petition from the Mass General Court for allowing us to extend the retirement ages of Chief Bushnell and Chief Stone.
Do we get a clarification? I tried to Google. I was just curious about, remember the fire we know, I think it's kind of set in stone, but the police chiefs can go for longer. I'm not good on finding the laws, but
Yeah, I haven't, Jeff Blake, our Copeland and Page, our lead attorney, and I haven't sat down and gone through these yet, but that was one of the questions I have for him on my list is, what are the
is there a drop date?
boundaries
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
can, if we want to extend it or,
Yeah, I don't know why, but I thought it was 2 years.
I know it's 2 for, my understanding is it's 2 for fire, but I think it's longer for police, but I'm not,
That's what I was just trying to find.
Yeah.
2 years beyond
we'll
65.
find that out.
That's what I thought.
And then the last 3 articles are the ones that I talked about earlier for the wastewater treatment plant to see if the town wants to take ownership of that facility.
Okay.
Thank you,
Should be
Jeff.
a fun,
I
fun town
want a
meeting.
motion to close the warrant?
I would like a motion to close one.
I move to close the warrant.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Warrant is closed. Totally closed, not to be open.
So I gotta be honest, I didn't do anything about the Board of Selectmen goals since our last meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys did.
That's fine.
You've been a little busy.
Yeah. We'll skip that.
Good.
Anything else then, Jack?
I'm gonna check my magic, no, I think I've managed to sneak all my other stuff in.
Okay. We do have executive session, right? So
We do.
Yep. So we will not be returning after executive session. So I need a roll call vote for that. Move into executive session.
Jim Lehan, aye.
Scott Bugby, aye.
Jeff Palumbo, aye.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Like I said, we will not be returning after executive session. Good evening.